The young and the restless spoilers as Damian's carefully constructed world came crashing down around him. Fury roared beneath his calm exterior. Amy's reckless confession, revealing truths he had fought so hard to conceal, shattered the illusion he had maintained for years. What had begun as a delicate scheme to embed himself within the Winters family had abruptly unraveled, leaving Damian exposed and vulnerable. He felt the walls closing in, every whispered doubt and furtive glance feeding the blaze of his anger. Yet, despite the storm raging within, he knew better than to lash out. Amy was under Nate's roof now, shielded by the very man Damian had once called brother. A direct attack would only serve to confirm her story and expose him irrevocably. Nate's eyes were no longer clouded by loyalty or naive affection. The moment Amy's claims landed in his ears, suspicion took root in his heart. The truth, once too painful to consider, began to crystallize. Damian was no brother, no genuine scion of the Winters lineage. Nate saw the inconsistencies in Damian's past stories, the slight twitch of guilt whenever a probing question struck too close to home. With each new piece of evidence Amy provided, Nate's trust crumbled. He found himself standing alone in the middle of a fractured family, uncertain of where to turn or whom to believe. For his part, Damian could only wait and watch. He had no idea exactly what secrets Amy had whispered into Nate's ear, whether she had detailed every lie or merely hinted at them, but he understood the damage would be severe. His plan to ingratiate himself with the Winters had depended on Nate's unwavering belief in him as a brother. Now that belief had been tainted, and Damian faced the terrifying reality of being cast out, stripped of the identity he had stolen. Faced with the prospect of being exposed as a fraud, he realized that half measures would not suffice. It was time to come clean, to seize control of the narrative before Nate's wrath could engulf him. In a tense gathering at the Winters estate, Damian stepped forward under the harsh glare of family members' scrutiny. The silence in the room was so complete it felt oppressive. With a trembling voice, he uttered the words that would forever alter his relationship with the family he had coveted: "I am not Amy's son." He confessed that, like Holden, he had inserted himself into the Winters' lives under false pretenses, an interloper pretending to belong. The revelation landed like thunder, sending ripples of shock through every face in the room. Some recoiled in betrayal, others in sorrow, and a few in cold, assessing curiosity. For Damian, the weight of his deception was suddenly crushing. Amy watched from the threshold, her eyes glistening with both relief and apprehension. She had known it would come to this, but seeing Damian admit the truth so publicly ignited a strange mix of vindication and guilt within her. Nate, however, was unmoved by sentiment. His jaw tightened, the bond he once cherished dissolved in that single confession. He realized that any lingering trust was forever broken. There would be no healing this time, only the rubble of what had been a brotherly bond, now irretrievably destroyed. As the echoes of Damian's admission faded, the Winters family faced a moment of reckoning far deeper than any business feud or romantic entanglement. Marcus and Olivia Winters exchanged worried glances, silently considering the implications for their already fragile sense of unity. Would they rally around Nate in solidarity, or fracture further under the weight of yet another betrayal? Even the usually unflappable Devon, ever the voice of reason, looked shell-shocked by the upheaval in his niece's household. It was Devon who finally broke the silence. Placing a gentle hand on Nate's shoulder, he offered words meant to soothe a wounded spirit. "You're not alone in this, Nate. You have all of us, your real family. Let's navigate this together." His calm, steady presence contrasted sharply with the emotional turmoil that swirled around them. Devon's assurance reminded Nate that, even in a world where lies and deceit seemed to reign supreme, genuine bonds still existed, bonds worth protecting and nurturing. In the aftermath, Amy cautiously approached Damian, her apology heartfelt even as it bristled with defiance. "I did what I had to do," she murmured. "You left me no choice." Damian met her gaze, his expression a complex tapestry of anger, regret, and a flicker of something like respect. He realized that Amy's courage in speaking out had forced him to confront the hollow core of his ambitions. Whatever lay ahead, ostracism, revenge plots, or perhaps a lone exile in the family's collective memory. He knew he could no longer hide behind lies. Meanwhile, Nate stood at the window, gazing out at the bustling streets of Genoa City. He reflected on how easily trust could be manipulated, how love could be weaponized by someone professing kinship. His heart still ached, but Devon's words resonated. He had a family who cared for him, and he would not let Damian's deceit define him. With newfound resolve, Nate turned back toward the others, ready to rebuild the bridges that Damian had burned. It would be a long and painful process, but he understood now that honesty, no matter how painful, was the foundation upon which true family ties were built. In the days that followed, the Winters household buzzed with tense conversations and cautious overtures. Amy and Nate spent long hours talking through her revelations, solidifying a partnership built on hard-earned trust. Olivia reached out to Damian with a carefully worded letter, offering him a chance at redemption if he chose to make amends. Though the path to forgiveness would be steep and uncertain. Holden, witnessing his brother's public downfall, felt a pang of pity mingled with relief that the shadow of falsehood was lifted at last. Through it all, one truth remained clear: in Genoa City, secrets invariably surface, and the fragile threads of loyalty can unravel in an instant. Damian's audacious masquerade may have ended in disgrace, but the Winters family emerged stronger for having faced the deception head-on. As they moved forward, scars and all, they carried with them a renewed commitment to honesty, a reminder that true belonging can never be stolen, it must be earned. In the dim glow of the Winters mansion's family room, Amy Winters sat huddled on the edge of the velvet chaise, her body trembling with equal parts fear and exhaustion. Across from her, Nate Winters, her trusted confidant and, until recently, her adopted brother, stood with arms crossed and brow furrowed, caught between his protective instincts and the harsh realities she'd revealed. Outside, the distant hum of Genoa City's night traffic served as a reminder that the world beyond these walls moved on, indifferent to the private crises unfolding within. Amy took a shuddering breath. "Nate," she began, her voice cracking like a brittle twig underfoot, "Damian knows I went to you. He won't stop until I'm dead." Her blue eyes, once so full of mischief and warmth, were now rimmed with red, brimming with tears she could no longer hold back. "I need someone to protect me." Nate's jaw clenched. He had suspected Damian's rage was dangerous, but hearing the truth laid bare pierced him deeper than any blade. He paced once, twice, then rounded on her, an edge of desperation in his tone. "Amy, you can't stay here. Damian's too powerful. You need to leave Genoa, get as far away from him as possible. That's the only way to keep yourself safe." Tears spilled down Amy's cheeks as she shook her head. "I can't leave," she sobbed, her hands fluttering to her stomach as if to steady her resolve. "I have cancer, Nate. I'm too weak. I need someone here." The confession hung in the air, heavy and unwelcome. So many had rallied around her early in her diagnosis, friends, family, even staff at the hospital. But Damian's betrayal had rendered those alliances tenuous. Now, at her most vulnerable, she felt abandoned by nearly everyone. Nate's face softened, pain flickering in his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he whispered, approaching her with cautious steps. He sat beside her, offering silent solidarity. "Why didn't you say you were sick?" Amy's shoulders heaved as she attempted to frame an answer, but the words lodged in her throat. Instead, she stared down at her hands, knuckles white. Finally, in a barely audible voice she admitted, "I was ashamed. I thought I could fight it on my own. Just like I've tried to handle everything else. But when Damian's secrets came tumbling out, I realized I couldn't do this alone." And now, her voice faltered, tears soaking the lace of her sleeve. "I'm scared." A solemn hush fell. Nate's mind raced. Over the years, he'd shielded Amy from heartbreak, from corporate battles, even from the shadow of Damian's deceit. Yet this crisis felt different, more acute, more intimate. He wanted to promise her sanctuary, but part of him feared that any safe haven in Genoa was already compromised. The grandfather clock in the hall chimed midnight, as if to mark the turning point in both their lives. Amy wiped her tears and looked up, strength flickering in her gaze. "I know I've made mistakes," she confessed, voice steadier now. "My own schemes brought Damian into our family. I thought I could outsmart him. But when I realized how far he'd go, I panicked. I should have told you everything sooner." Nate reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You did the right thing by coming to me," he assured her. "But we have to be realistic. Damian won't stop. He's been angry ever since Amy dared to stand up to him." He bit his lip, wrestling with the weight of his next words. "I want to help you, but you have to trust me completely. If you refuse to leave, we need another plan." Amy nodded, veins of determination tracing across her cheeks. "I trust you, Nate," she said softly. "But time is running out." Across town, Damian Winters paced the foyer of his sleek high-rise loft. His fury was a living thing, taut and sinuous, coiling around his heart. He replayed Amy's defiance in his mind, her tears, her betrayal, her confession to Nate. Every image stoked the flames of his wrath. Once, he had viewed Amy as a pawn in his calculated game, a means to an end. But now, that pawn had turned queen, threatening to expose every lie he had carefully planted. Damian's phone buzzed. It was a cryptic message from an unknown number. "She isn't going anywhere." The words, typed in block capitals, were as cold as the steel desk beneath his hand. He slammed the phone down, resolve hardening. No matter the cost, he would eliminate the threat. Amy would pay for her treachery. Yet even as he planned his next move, a sliver of doubt crept into his mind. He did not know the full extent of what Amy had told Nate. Did she reveal his darkest secrets? His true parentage? The thought sent a chill through him. The Winters name was everything to him, his only claim to power in Genoa City. If Nate began to question Damian's legitimacy, their fragile alliance could shatter. Suddenly, the stakes were far higher than he had imagined. Back at the mansion, Devon Hamilton arrived to see Nate helping Amy to her feet. The two men exchanged a knowing look. Devon had always been the cool-headed cousin, the one who offered calm counsel in the face of family storms. He stepped forward, placing a hand on Nate's shoulder. "I heard what's happening," Devon said quietly. "You're not alone in this. We'll protect Amy, together." Nate exhaled, relief washing over him. Despite the sincerity in Devon's offer, he felt the crushing weight of his own uncertainties. Amy was fragile, both emotionally and physically. Protecting her meant defying Damian, possibly even calling law enforcement or hiring private security. And yet a small, stubborn voice inside him whispered that betrayal of that magnitude might demand more drastic measures. Amy, sensing the shift in the room, looked between Nate and Devon. The two men, her brothers in every sense but blood, formed a silent pact of solidarity. Her heart swelled with gratitude even as the fear lingered. Whether she would recover from her illness, she would not face this danger alone. The night grew deeper, but for the Winters trio, the darkness was filled with possibility. A chance to stand up to Damian's venom, to protect one of their own, and to reaffirm the bonds of family forged through trials. Outside, Genoa City slept, unaware of the brewing storm. But within those mansion walls, a fierce battle loomed, one that would test loyalties, challenge moral boundaries, and perhaps, in the crucible of conflict, forge a new understanding of what it meant to be truly united. As dawn approached, Amy cleared her throat and met Nate's gaze. "I don't know what the future holds," she admitted, voice soft but unwavering. "But I'm ready to fight." Nate squeezed her hand in response, and Devon offered a nod of solidarity. In that moment, the Winters family, fractured though it might be, took its first step toward confronting the darkness that Damian had unleashed. And somewhere, in the quiet of his penthouse, Damian Winters realized that the fight for his soul, and for the soul of the family he had claimed as his own, had only just begun.